What's up, everybody? It's Mark from 403 Fauna, along with
Jason Radass Designs.
welcome to the Fauna Topic, where we talk about relevant topics in the ball python and reptile industry. And we've got quite a few this week we'll be talking
We
about.
have we have a few.
So, Jason, how was your week?
It was pretty good. Yeah, Saturday was my 47th birthday. I know
Oh,
I don't look that old, especially with a hat on. And I definitely don't act that old, but that was pretty cool. I went to a steakhouse that I'd never been to before that I've heard of called Ruth's Chris.
oh, I've been there. They're
Yeah,
good.
the owner Ruth is no longer alive, but I probably had like 6 or 7 people give me attention throughout the night. It was kind of a little bit too much. I would have reduced a few of those people and then like added really good bread to start with. Most of the nice restaurants that were expensive, that serve good drinks and have nice ambiance and all that kind of stuff, will have really good bread. Some of them more so than others. And if there's anything negative I can say about Ruth's Chris compared to anywhere else that you go and have fine dining. It was that the bread was absolutely like subpar and didn't even need to be served in my
Oh, man.
opinion. Other than that, everything was great. The service, the place, they had like glitter and different stuff on the table. I went on a nice fancy date and had a great time, and it was a good birthday dinner and steak house experience. So I recommend it if you have a little extra money to spend and you don't mind pricing to go and have a good time. You will definitely do that there. What else? I had some downtime for some days. I had a really busy week. I had mentioned last week that or the week before on our last show that I had lost my job. It's not like losing your car keys. It's a little more complicated than that, and I have a union job, so they're um, fighting for me to get my job back. And I had another meeting with that company and corporation, and um, they thought it was kind of a slam dunk kind of thing. We're lying left and right. And in this second meeting, essentially, officially, the second meeting post decision, I basically disproved all of their points in firing me, and that felt pretty good. Now, whether I get my job back or not, or I have to do a giant lawsuit against a corporation and their lawyers, I'm not sure how that's going to all play out. Anytime I mention the lawyer I had, they were really upset. But I feel kind of vindicated, like on principle. So we'll see what happens, Mark. I just, my life has gone through so many changes in the last 3 months, pretty much exactly, that I'm just going with the flow. And that's kind of what you got to do in life. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy. Nothing is an absolute and given, and I'm just seeing what the universe sends me back for all the positivity I put out there. So there was that. That was kind of cool. We talked relationships last time, and as you know, Natalie, that made the logo and was there in some of the first episodes, and is somebody who was my partner the last 5.5 years, and I split up. And I didn't really mention that in the specifically in detail in the relationship issue episode, but that has been something I've had a challenge transitioning from. And a lot of people that break up in those types of close, significant other relationships just don't talk to each other ever again. It gets real nasty and blamey, and that's not always necessary. And we're still good friends. And I mean, I'm here where I used to live now in her place doing the podcast. I come here once a week on Fridays. And that's been an interesting transition as I continue in the hobby and moving on with my life. She's not here at the moment, but yeah, now we've both found new people in our lives and seeing where that goes a little bit at its own pace and time, and that's healthy to do and still be able to talk and be in each other's lives. So I found someone special. She's found someone special. You found someone special. Steven has someone special, and you just gotta just enjoy that. And what else? I came back from from this last week of doing things and checked all the reptiles, and I got more eggs.
Is that your
So
third clutch?
yeah, third clutch of the year. Pretty cool. I only have one GHI example in my collection, and it's this really pretty girl that has pastel and inchy at the very least in her, and she's really unique looking. And I put the pastel monarch to her last year and through winter into spring and at different times. And she's just kind of slow. She's a little younger, and I don't know how many eggs she's sitting on. I saw them last night in the 70 tub in the Freedom Breeder rack, and I just let her sit. I kind of lifted her up and looked underneath and just sat her back down. She's kind of covering them from underneath too. She's in this cone. Like when you got a big dog out there, any of you, and you got those like those Kongs, those big like cone things with the round edges. She kind of looks like that. And so I set up some tubs, and I will get those all counted and candled after the show today. And I imagine there's they all look healthy. I imagine there's probably 5 good healthy eggs, and we'll see. And if everything goes well, then I'll hatch my first ever somewhat normal looking GHI example ball python. So that would be kind of cool, and it'll be het for monarch. So
Awesome. Not
other than that, it's just very hot in California, as you know.
yeah, we've here since I'm pretty close to the beach, it hasn't been bad, but the June gloom is starting to fade away and it's starting to get warmer now. But I'm still waiting on my second clutch. I think on day 33 already, but they all don't go on the perfect date. And
Mhm.
pretty much all my girls ovulated within a week or two of each other. So I'm expecting a bounty of eggs very soon, hopefully. But I'm glad you got your third clutch
Yeah,
there
pretty
already.
exciting. Pretty exciting.
And your first G.I. Joe combination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be neat. I've been waiting on this female for a while, wondering and wondering, and like when I told you, all sorts of snakes in that rack, like a few weeks ago, were just laying funny, like they're in yoga classes or something, and even ones that are not so sure that they could be gravid, but um. Yeah, I expect more eggs coming. It seems like each week I get a batch now, and I'm waiting on more, and I'll just continue to be patient and have the egg boxes ready. 88.5 degrees in the incubator, and it's gonna be a good hatching season, I think, for both of us.
Yes. Now we do have a special guest this week for our quick guest of the week. I know
We
I've been
do.
calling it short guest or short interview, but I don't want to
I don't
offend
know.
anyone.
Steven looks a little bit tall. I don't think
Yeah.
he's that short. I know he's taller than me. I'm 5'8.5".
Yeah, so we're gonna bring on Steven from Leviathan Snakes for a quick little interview with us.
Yeah.
What's up, Steven?
What's going on, friends? You guys having all the
What's
fun?
up?
Most
All the
definitely.
fun about all the things. How are
That's
you,
right.
Steven?
I'm doing well, doing well, busy. So
Yeah.
I worked from home on Mondays and Fridays, so I got to work from home and all that stuff today. But Worked until 5, and then from 5 until 7, been in like various different just other Zoom call meetings, working some cool stuff in the reptile hobby that I can't talk about right now, but I'm
Right.
stoked about.
Yeah.
So,
And you used to be in like banking, right? And now you're doing something else, advertising, or what is it?
yeah, so kind of both. So
Mhm.
my entire like professional career has been in marketing. I started off as a copywriter, then I was a social media manager for the South Carolina Army National Guard. I was the digital marketing manager for the National Guard. Then I switched over to like the private sector and all that, and now I am at the current point in time, I'm the digital marketing manager for a bank that serves the East Coast. So
Nice.
super fun. I love it a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it's
But yeah,
good.
so I am a banker and a marketer. I'm really more of a marketer. I just happen to be a marketer for a bank. So, and then I breed snakes, or we
Yes,
breed.
you do. Yes, you do. I remember before you owned a snake personally yourself and the
Mhm.
reaction in the video that you
Oh
guys
yeah.
eventually posted, and just
Mhm.
your excitement and bewilderment and wonder of this creature in front of you, and to
Mhm.
see your guys' journey play out on social media. And
Mhm.
how excited you are about it now, and how you set goals, and you research so much, and you share what you learn along the way with a lot of transparency and a lot of exuberance. It's been really fun to watch, and I think you guys deserve all the accolades that you've gotten, and I am just glad to finally be in a in a show with
Yeah.
you in person.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
No, it's
So,
awesome. I very much appreciate it. It
mhm.
has been super fun. We've been very lucky, and the community has been so positive, like really, really good. Like
Yeah.
I it is definitely my favorite hobby, definitely favorite like community I've ever been a part of. And I'm
Hmm.
super nerdy. I've been into like Magic the Gathering, which is super fun. Community's not super great. Just throwing that out there. Um,
So you like it even better than D&D? Is that
oh
what
yeah,
you're saying
I mean,
officially right now on our show?
okay, I love D&D. I love it so much. But the thing with D&D is like you get like a small group of people who's going to like play with you, and you play with that same small group forever and ever and ever. And there definitely is a D&D community, but you don't really interact with the whole D&D community like you do in the reptile hobby. The reptile
Right.
hobby, it's so big and so small at the same time.
Mm.
I remember coming in and being like overwhelmed on just how huge it seemed. But now at this point, I feel like that. I know it's not actually true, but I feel like I know like everybody in it. Like
Mhm.
a random person comes up at a show, and it's like, oh, I know you. I talk to you online all the like that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I watch your YouTube videos. Like we talk in DMs, all of that stuff. It's just it's not a community I've ever had before, and really anything I've ever done in life, and it's super super neat. I love it. The people
Yeah.
in the reptile hobby are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember coming in during the pandemic and seeing all the new breeders show up on
Mhm.
YouTube, and Adam, you, and
Mhm.
you came in like very professional, and I just loved your videos and the style of your videos, and you've just grown on it and have become um, a household name in the ball python industry. So
Hell yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I at first when I first got into it, so before ball pythons, like I had different hobbies, but doesn't relate to this one. But I've always been kind of interested in photography. And for like my day job, I took pictures for social media and stuff. And I really liked photography at first. And it wasn't until ball pythons where I started doing more videography. And it's shifted now at this point where I like photography, but now I feel like photography is kind of easy and boring. Not that I'm like the best photographer in the world, but you just take a picture and you're done. You might like crop it a little bit. I don't like editing anything on like snakes because I feel like that even a little bit of editing, anybody can say like even if it looks the same, they can say like, oh, it was edited, and people don't understand that. So everything that we do is straight out of the camera. Like it is whether it's the pictures or the videos, straight out of the camera. There's no editing on it in terms of like color or anything like that. But
Well,
anyways,
I had somebody, Stephen, try to explain to me once. I didn't
yeah.
fully wrap my head around it, but that the lens inside a camera and the way that
Mhm.
it captures light and colors is different than what we have in our eyeballs. So it doesn't
Mhm.
usually like match up exactly right. That's the
Y-
best way that I could describe what they were trying to relay to me. But
yeah.
I look at it as like I was a video cameraman for televised sports when I was
Yeah,
younger, and
yeah.
I don't have a lot of techie experience. That's why I've watched so many of your videos on lighting and video
Mhm.
and everything, YouTube. But like what I got from it and why I did so well was you basically your viewer, whether it's a
Mhm.
camera or a video camera, they're seeing like what you're like, they're looking through your eyes. So
Mhm.
as you like focus and tilt and pan and everything that you do, it's like you're trying to capture that for the viewer. So a lot of photography, a lot of like cinematography is just simply framing.
Oh
There's a
yeah,
lot more to it. It's hard to just like
100%.
simplify it, but I always look at that as if whatever it is that I'm viewing, that's what other people are seeing through my eyes. So I'll try to use certain angles and whatnot. If you have that
Yeah,
mindset in it, it makes it a little easier to capture something unique. I mean, not
yeah,
everyone's Ansel Adams, so
yeah. There's some really cool stuff with framing and like on your comment earlier on like the lens and all that stuff. So doesn't matter what you're using. If you're using like a really nice professional camera, if you're using your iPhone, doesn't matter. But their lens has a length. It's a focal length, is what it's called. And it's the distance between the lens and the sensor that actually records the image. So the human eye is about 50 millimeters. Okay. So if you're using a camera or a lens and you want it to look as close to the human eye as possible, you want the effective focal length to be about 50 millimeters. And that's just like various different things. And that will look as if you are holding it in your hand. It's going to look about the same if it's 50 millimeters.
hmm.
So that's one thing on like lens. If you have a really small lens, you can get a wider field of view than what you can actually see. And that's like when you're like doing a handheld stuff. And if you ever notice those ones, the edges of the frames will often look curved. And it's just different ways about this is true. But I don't do it on our channel. This is on like um yeah. But hey Wyatt, please be quiet. Um but anyways, so that's with like the lens itself. I think that a bigger thing that impacts like photography and videography is the lighting and color balance. So it's very often if you take your iPhone is set up to do everything automatically so that we can take a decent picture as easy as possible. But when it comes to snakes, especially snakes that have very, very vibrant colors, they don't know how to handle those colors. And usually what happens is it's like, this snake is so orange, it has to not actually be orange. I'm going to compensate for how orange it is by shifting the whole frame blue. So then you get a snake that looks brown rather than orange, and that's why it doesn't look right. And it's
Yeah.
not, it's about color balance, and it's about the camera or the iPhone in this situation trying to automatically decide what looks good or what looks right, but the camera doesn't know that it's a snake and it actually is that orange, and you need to capture that level of orange. So it's stuff like that. Like
So you're saying that most cameras don't appreciate your snake collection.
cameras on automatic mode don't,
hmm.
but if you are able to shoot in full manual where you control all of the settings, you can dial it in pretty close.
Nice, nice. That's great insight.
For
But yeah,
the event, how many clutches have you had so far, and how many are you expecting this season?
I think we're on 11. We have 11 either have hatched or in the incubator so far. I might be off on that. It might be 10, might be 12, but I think it's 11. I think we just hit 11. We're going to probably have about 20 to 25 this season. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm excited about it.
As someone who has I'm assuming a full-time job in addition to the snakes, do you cap yourself as far as the amount of clutches you have?
Not really. He's actually here right now. We just hired somebody. So I don't know if you want to jump onto this. So this is Cameron. He's with Rodents and Royals, but he's coming to help out with snakes and stuff. So
Awesome.
but yeah.
Nice.
So here's these keys.
I need my keys.
Let me. Oh, my bad. Here we go.
Sorry.
All right. I apologize. But like we don't really right now. There is what I would say is we don't have like a cap on clutches where we're only going to do this much and then we stay under. Like if we have the animal and we want to breed it, we're breeding it right now. At least we haven't gotten to that point. But I do think that between having full-time jobs, between the kids, between a social life, between social media, it is to the point where we're like, we don't when it comes specifically to snakes, and really it's like full cleans and stuff like that, we didn't feel like that we were keeping up with everything that we should be doing. So that's one of the things that Cameron's like coming over to do, is like help. So he comes in starting today every Friday for 4 hours, and then helping us clean snakes, clean rodents, record stuff on hatch cards, because whenever we have like the hatchlings, we like record all that stuff on here. Ultrasounding. At some point, I'll probably make him do videos with me too. So all right, but yeah.
Nice.
So.
Oh yeah, I can totally understand. Very cool. Any last questions, Stephen or Jason? My bad.
Like, where are you gonna take the Sunset project now? You've reached some goals, and you've acquired some different animals, and I'm just curious if you're ever gonna make a Sunset campfire, or if you have a totally different direction that you know that you're going, whether you mention it in detail or not. You have a vision.
There's definitely tons of goals that I want to do that I'm super excited about. So Sunset Campfire, Sunset Bonfire, I think those are going to be amazing. Definitely things we want to work towards. We have our first shot at Sunset Clowns this season. They're due July 18th, and I'm stoked about them. We got 6 eggs.
Be awesome.
Yeah. We don't have a clutch yet. They've only had 1 confirmed lock, but we have a Bongo triple het Sunset Ultramale hypo male that is breeding 3 normal double het Sunset Ultramale females, so really low odds, but the chance to make Bongo Sunset Ultramale that could prove out to be het hypo. I'm super excited about that. Yeah. Other than that, Sunset DG Clown is another project we're working, and Sunset Hypo Puzzle is another one that I'm really excited about. So overall,
how about Stephen? You guys both were interested in the South African gene Nyala.
Yeah.
And you took a chance with having something with spider in it, and you rolled the dice, and it worked out really well for you guys, I feel. And what is your opinion on a great direction to take the Nyala gene? And do you feel still that it's going to get more and more popular and do really cool things?
I think so. So I think Nyala, I don't actually know how to pronounce it. It's like a South African word for like a gazelle type animal, and I can't pronounce it right. But I'm gonna say Nyala, but I know I'm not saying it right. I'm sorry, anybody who knows how to actually pronounce it. It's a beautiful gene. It works amazing with clown. And I want to keep working it in the clown angle. We made like the first Super Nyala clowns. We made the first Nyala furrow clowns. Overall, stoked with how it's working in clown. I have seen it in Pied, and I think it looks decent, but I'm not a big Pied fan anyway. Not that I dislike Pied, but that's just not a project we really work. We are pairing a Sunset to a Spider Nyala furrow het clown female, the one that had produced the snakes last year, this season. So we're not going to make anything super wild from that, but hopefully we can get a Nyala furrow het Sunset that ends up proving out to be het clown too. I'm really excited about that. Next season, we'll probably be putting a Inchy Gravel Hypo Clown to, we have Nyala furrow clowns that are growing up, probably putting him to one of them. And I know Justin is putting, I think I don't remember what it all is, but I think he's working Nyala furrow Monarch Clown stuff.
Yeah.
So when Justin starts hitting those combos, like, that's like, like I'm excited about it.
And then also you guys launched Patreon.
Yeah.
And how is that going? That's got to take more of this free time and energy that you've already described. I mean, you guys are so busy and getting busier and busier in life. And are you having fun with it? Is it working for you guys? Is it creating a nice little like revenue stream? What do you have to say about your experience in it so far?
Patreon has vastly exceeded what I expected it to do. What I expected, because we're doing it like almost everybody who does Patreon in the reptile hobby, offers that anything you pay into Patreon, you get like credit as a future snake purchase. So immediately we had to do that. It was like, yes, that's exactly it. Provides value regardless. Essentially, if somebody's like, hey, I'm interested in the Sunset Project, I'm probably going to end up buying a snake from Leviathan Snakes at some point. Realistically, even if you're only signing up for $5, what it does is all of that money will get used towards a future snake purchase. So you're not really out anything if you're going to buy a snake from us anyway. And what it does is it lets you get integrated in like the Patreon community that are there. So we have like Corey DeLong is in it, Chimera's in it, Brandon Nixon. There's a lot of really, really cool people in the community. So that way you can kind of like build up those stronger network, that stronger connections within the hobby in a more intimate environment. So hold on a second.
The fun of raising kids as well as snakes. I remember that.
Yeah. Here I complain about my 6 classes. And
well, that's a lot of kids too. And you get to send them home, Mark.
I apologize.
No worries. Did you have any other questions for him, Mark, that you can think of? Here he is now.
We could have him on for 2 hours, but
yeah,
we got to get on to our show. So I think we'll have to lead us into one of our topics here. I want to hear his opinion on Morph market auctions. I don't think I've seen him auction anything off, and
he did like a Nyala clown, and it went for like 2,400 or so, I don't know, a lot of money out of my price range at the time, and I think that went somewhat smoothly for him. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No worries, Steven.
Okay, Steven, let's end our little quick
okay.
review here, and I just want to get your opinion and kind of lead us on the topics that me and Jason will be talking about right now. But what's your experience with Morph market auctions as far as selling or buying, and do you find it a positive?
I love the Morph market auctions. We've only sold, I think, 2 animals on it. We haven't bought anything on it. I think it is such an awesome thing for the hobby. I think that it allows people to move animals that are either harder to move, as if it's like a wholesale outlet that a lot of people just don't have access to. Like, I think it is not uncommon for big breeders to be like, oh, that's an animal I would wholesale. And it's like, that's cool. Like, we don't have a wholesaler. And if we don't have a wholesaler, I think it's pretty common that anybody who got in after us probably doesn't have a wholesaler either. So that advice of just wholesale it, that's not real advice. Morph market auctions let you move those animals. The other thing on it is they're not all just wholesalers, wholesale animals. We've sold really, like, honestly, our first Morph market auction was a Super Nyala clown, possible furrow, possible spider. And we had priced her on Morph market for $5,000. She was up there for a couple months, no inquiries. And I get that, because $5,000 is a lot for an animal. And if they have spider in it, a lot of people don't want spider. I completely get that. We didn't know what to put, like, actually list her as. With that, we put her on a Morph market auction. She ended up selling for $4,100. Like, so you can get amazing animals and you can sell amazing animals on Morph market auctions. It's not all low-end stuff. I think Morph market auctions are fantastic for animals that you just need to move, or animals that you really don't know what to price them at. And then the market can decide. So I'm a huge fan of Morph market auctions. Doesn't mean they're perfect. Doesn't mean they're perfect. There are people who do shady stuff on them, like trying to charge $300 for shipping as a hidden fee. Like,
right.
But overall, they're so good for the hobby.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you for joining us. Me and Jason are going to continue on with the show. I'll see you tomorrow on a Zoom.
All right, sounds good. I'll catch you later.
Thanks so much for being here, Steven. We really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and tell Courtney that we said hello.
All right, sounds good. I'll catch you guys later. You guys have all the fun.
See ya.
Thank you.
All right,
bye. Okay, so Steven from Leviathan, he was a previous winner of our Problem of the Week, and we had him on here for a little interview. and we shouted him out last time or a couple of shows ago. Last show's winner was Old Devil Ball Pythons, Stacy Carter. So if you want to be given a shout out and an opportunity to be a quick guest here on the Fauna Topic, answer our trivia question, which is coming up after this slide. And you'll also be eligible to win a snake from myself and Jason, and possibly some other prizes in the future. Wink.
Maybe.
So try your best on this question week. I've completely forgot to write one, so I came up with like a super easy question. I can see we got 10 people in the audience right now, so there's got to be at least someone who will win this. So here is our question of the week. Previous winners, this is our 20th show, and I should have a list right next to me, but I don't have a list of all the previous winners. But hey, we'll give it to the first one who answers this correctly. So, problem of the week is: which of these snakes cannot hybridize with a ball python? A, the Womo python; B, the carpet python; C, the Burmese python; or D, the boa constrictor? Audience, feel free to answer in the chat. First one to get it will get a shout out next week and also be eligible for the drawing. Man, I tell you what, I almost bought a hybrid ball python with one of these on here. And I questioned the guy at Morph Market, and he said, because I wanted it to be a handleable handleable snake. He said, "No, this guy is mean as heck." So I that snake. And
over the decades, I've seen some really interesting and unique hybrids, and I've hybridized some stuff in the past, but more so like in the arachnid world. And boy, at times I would get crucified for that. Like it was the worst thing ever. But it's slightly controversial, but some people just really like to see it done. And in certain areas with certain species, they do it naturally in the wild. You'll see that, like Galapagos Island iguanas. There's like a land version and a marine version, and in the recent like oh, I would guess probably about 15 years, they've started to hybridize on their own. It's just an evolutionary thing. So it's not as bad as people make it out to be, but there are ethical questions involved, but it's definitely interesting.
yeah, and Adrian, you're a previous winner, so I want to make you ineligible for this one. But hey, if you want to be our quick guest next week, message me on Instagram, Adrian, and we'll put you on. But our winner this week is Shav, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Shavkat Rachmanov. So you are the winner. I know you wanted to message me about a potential snake you want to buy. So just hit me up on Instagram, and I'll give you your shout out. And if you also want to be a guest, we'll schedule you if Adrian chooses not to be next week. So congratulations to Shavkat.
Nice. Good job.
Okay, Jason, do you have your rat-ass snake of the week?
I do. I do have a fairly radical snake that I will show everyone today. In honor of Steven being on the show, especially at such short notice. Last time I showed Sunset, and this time I'm showing another snake.
Ooh, I think that's one of my favorite morphs right there. What do you think, audience? What kind of morph do we have here, or what genes are involved? I'm going to go out on a limb and say calico.
Calico is in there.
Now, do you know the line of calico?
Supposedly it's just calico and not sugar, but those have gotten so blurred over time that it's hard to really say for sure. I bought him a girlfriend. I've had him for a while, and she ended up passing away. She was so pretty, looked a lot like him at hatchling, and over time, this guy, I would say, I mean, his white is really nice. He came from apparently a 2014 mother that was a super, super high white example of calico, just flat out. And that was Joe Kinney at Gulf Coast. I believe it's Gulf Coast Exotics. He's been in the hobby for literally many decades. And so I was excited to get this guy from him. He's 100% het sunset. And then this guy had a girlfriend, and she was so pretty, Mark. I mean, I think I still have pictures on Instagram. She was so ridiculously high white, where he has lost, it feels like, a little bit of white over time. And he still looks really nice, but she just had this cool pixelation, and it's just extremely high white. And she came from Bob's Balls, and she just had kind of like a failure to thrive kind of deal. And I talked to Bob about it, and we worked something out, but I wasn't able to like essentially replace her as like a spot in what a breeding goal of mine was long term, that vision. So that was disappointing, but he did make me happy. So this guy doesn't have his future girlfriend anymore, and I'm not sure exactly the direction I'll take him, but he is an Enchi Calico Het Sunset male. He's got some interesting markings and a little bit of orange that comes up underneath them, and he's decently white. And he came out of the box biting himself. He bit himself 3 times. And
Wow.
so Natalie has a special name for him that I won't share on the air, but she laughed at this guy for a long time, and he did all right. Um, Calming down over time, and he's a pretty good eater. I definitely haven't power fed him, but he does well. He gets picky at times, but he's ultimately a good eater and eats multiple items most times that I do feed him. And one day he'll make a calico sunset.
And
So
Leviathan, now I know why you asked him about campfire sunsets there.
yeah, that
You're
was my plan eventually, was to make campfire sunsets. I just think that the campfire is a cool combination, and it makes snakes more orange and does a lot of blushing and cool things, and it just seems um like a plan that's just meant for each other. And maybe someday, I'm a little further from it now, but maybe someday I'll still do that. I like the calico gene as you do, so one day I'll put him to some use. Yeah.
Has there been a calico sunset made yet?
Yeah, yeah, there's been a few calico sunsets. It doesn't do a whole lot just in itself. They kind of fight each other a bit. Just like when you see certain combinations of genes, especially like in Bell complex and different things, calico can just be really reduced. You almost don't know that it's there. But I think as the more we combine things, that eventually it will do what we want calico to do when combined with sunset and have white splotching and pixelation. And it's just going to take time to figure out what that combination is, where we can see it reliably. But yeah, they're not overwhelming. Someone like Bob's Balls, he's made some. I think Brad Boa has made one. They're out there, but eventually it'll do good things together, I feel.
I'd imagine, yeah. Okay, now there was a couple of big things that I came across off Instagram, and I'm sure you have as well. So we'll talk about those subjects now. The
Sure.
first one was the Vans ad. Oh my
Mm,
goodness.
yeah.
I'll, I saw that picture. And I'm like, that's a dead snake right there. It looks limp. It's just hanging there. You can see its ribs and everything.
Yeah.
Um, crazy that they would do that. And I was thinking, you know, Vans is kind of like an alternative shoe, and maybe they're going for the goth crowd or whatever. But yeah, that's not good to have on there. Now, I know you've tried to contact Vans. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen this picture flashed around, you know, like on Instagram, and in the hobby it came to our attention. It's obviously bad look for the shoe brand and a bad look for the hobby in general. I don't happen to know 100% whether this snake is alive or dead, but if I had to guess, I would say it was alive and that it's just in poor health, and somebody was doing a photo shoot and listened to somebody who said we can put a snake in it. I got a snake, I can get one, or went to a pet store that wasn't reputable and got one. I don't know that backstory, and I have been not able in this time frame to get a comment from the company or the marketing people involved in this. So I tried to contact Vans. I tried to contact their parent company, which is VF Corporation, and they sent me back to Vans. I've emailed Vans. It's almost like a nostalgic brand, you know, like a skater type brand from when a lot of us that are older in the hobby grew up with Vans, you know, wearing them while we're riding our skateboards and whatnot. But they have apparently a like Diamondback collection shoe. So it has like rattlesnakes on it, and they have different like snakeskin ones, and I think that that's sort of the direction that this was going, and why they used a snake and didn't use a diamondback that was defanged, or like taxidermy or something along those lines would have been smarter, maybe like a skeleton or something. But I'm guessing that that's what kind of occurred, where someone thought, yeah, let's put a snake in this photo shoot. And I think it's just a bad look all around when things like this happen, and how somebody was able to authorize this and think that it was a good idea, I assume have lost their job, or or like sent
Yeah.
to cover Vans publicity in Antarctica or something. I don't know all of that. We'll see if we ever hear another, you know, bit about what's gone on from it. They seem to have be trying to crush the whole story and walk away from it. But um yeah, it doesn't impress me, and I feel bad for the animal. It looks like he has spider in him, probably pastel, and poor health. And I feel bad, and probably an older snake, and I'm assuming that somebody came to the rescue and is taking better care of them at this point. So that's about all I know about it, Mark. And it's just leaves leaves a bad taste for their branding, and it's a bad look on the hobby, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it was just really cool seeing the community come out for that, nerd and everybody else posting about it. Creative Reptiles in our comments gave us a lot of good insight, so
Mhm.
read into that. But appreciate that, Creative. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, there was another story that popped up on Instagram that,
Mhm.
and the person who brought it up was actually in our chat earlier, and that was Mad River Serpents and Rattery, and they shared with Instagram a snake that they had received off, I believe it was a Morph Market auction,
Yes, it
and
was.
opened up the bag and just saw all these mites there. And he shared video and everything. And you know how you get the heebie-jeebies? I,
Hmm.
as a reptile keeper, at some point you're gonna come across mites. I've had it. I'm sure you've had it at some point too. But just to see how much was on that snake is just, man. If it gets to that state,
Hmm.
then I'd imagine their entire collection is infested. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I only after you kind of brought it up to me, hey, did you hear that this is going on? I was like, oh, well, let me get my research hat on. It's Friday, and let me try to do this some quick journalism. And man, when you see that much evidence of mites from just a short time in shipping, that's a snake that's just riddled with mites. It's not good. And that parasites and exoparasites and all these different like things that you will encounter, like ticks and mosquitoes and fleas and all these different things, like they can sometimes pass diseases, and sometimes that's something that can affect snakes and the hobby. And um, I feel like it's just very blatant and obvious when you receive a shipment like this and you pull out the snake and you see mites on it, and you see this much evidence of it in the bag from shipping. That's just full blown, like, riddled with, I mean, like, that snake needs to get like a Dawn soap bath, and you're gonna have to like sit there and like pull and spread apart like every scale in that snake. Really, it's the best way to do it. It's very tedious. Like, just sit there and go through everything where you can't see anymore, you can't find anymore easily. Check in mouths and eyes. Like, mites like to hang out in like crevices in the eyes, and you can't really always like see them. And you really gotta stress out the snake and really examine it, and basically give it like a physical and almost like a massage, and just go through everything that you can within reason on the snake, and then soak it some more. There's a lot of different solutions that people have come up with. There's a lot of people believe in ivermectin and different mite sprays. Some people believe in, diatomaceous earth and things that will dry the, those kinds of creatures out. There's a lot of different ways to handle it that people swear by, but this is just an unfortunate example of why people should quarantine new animals. And it's an unfortunate situation for this purchaser on Morph Market. And I spoke with him today and asked him if he had anything to say. He seems like a really nice guy. He obviously was upset from the purchase and how the person reacted. And furthermore, through backtracking and figuring out where the snake originally came from and was bred, it was also essentially proven that it was an in particular snake sold to this girl, and was sold as a male, and she turned around and got it all infected with mites, however that occurred, and sold it purposely as a female, like knowing as such. And that's a whole separate sales ethical issue. And this guy is disappointed and upset, and it's understandable. And he was kind of ghosted, and he basically appreciated that I contacted him. And the main thing that he wanted to say, it was a pretty long paragraph that I won't read word for word, but paraphrase in the sense that ultimately he started keeping in 2014. He started breeding and selling in 2015, the next year. He seems like a really nice guy, pretty understanding and cool, and he didn't go on like a rant with me about how grumpy he is about this and how frustrated and how these things happen from time to time. It was more so the point that he was making was that as keepers of reptiles in this hobby, especially those propagating them, and like it's important to take good care of your animals. And everybody makes mistakes. There's a learning curve for everyone. There's all sorts of like help that you can get and research and that you can do and to become a better keeper. And that's really what he wanted to relay, was that to remind people that you really need to take good care of your animals and not let them suffer. and they rely on us, and they rely on our knowledge, and our they rely on everything, and our ability to take good care of them. And I just thought it was like kind of a high ground to take after something that was frustrating to him. And the original breeder of the snake was Jacob at Sybil Serpents, and he's a friend of mine, and he's a super nice guy. And he has a podcast with Andrew of Redwood Reptiles called Two Peens in a Pod, and they are maybe. I mean, I think I'm pretty funny. But these guys together are just hilarious, and I love them, and I'll be checking out their shows more now that they're getting into a bit of a rhythm. So I asked Jacob, hey, I kind of seen what, is going on here. I pretty much have everything that I need to, feel like I know the facts of what happened. You hear these kinds of stories. If you're in the hobby for a long time, you might even have something like this happen to you. And you want to warn people about it and make sure that you can prevent from doing it yourself on accident to someone. But I asked him about, hey, do you know do you have anything to say? And he said that the parents were a yellow belly ultra male to a fire cypress het ultra male that was bred by Justin Kabelka. And that was offspring from that. And he sold that snake as a for sure male, and guarantees the genes involved at play. And at least the guy knows what he has and has a snake from a high quality ancestry. And hopefully he'll find good use for it in the future and give it a good home, because it obviously needs good care and a little bit of TLC and is in the right hands. It's pretty obvious.
Super appreciate you doing the research on that, Jason. And I tell you, Jason's so awesome. I just
Right?
checked that he even contacted Vans and everyone in the Mite story.
Well,
So
they haven't responded yet, and I don't expect them to say much more than the standard. We can't touch on that right now, but I've contacted their media team, and we'll see. But yeah, maybe the extra week off helped. And like, we try to be informative and do our part from our angle, from our level of experience, and from our personalities to contribute to the hobby. And we're just that's my end of it, what I can do. We both do our own thing. And how cool is that to have Leviathan snakes on after all this time of us being in the hobby and watching Stephen and Courtney. And yeah, it's a good day and a good show. And what else you got, Mark? What else you want to talk about?
we do have one more thing, but before we go on, I just want to say
Mhm.
that I looked up the seller of this snake, the mite infested snake, on Morph Market, and I saw they were on there a few days ago because I looked them up, and they're gone now. So Morph
Yeah.
Market did their part and removed that seller. So
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like like that game where you like put the hammer on the little gophers' heads, and or the groundhogs, and they just pop back up. And you can't help it. Like, not everybody that enters the hobby and partakes in it is going to take it as seriously or have as much fun or be as good of a keeper, and that goes for like cats and dogs, and that can go for their own children. I mean, I'm not going to tell people how to raise their kids. I wasn't father of the year, but not everybody does their best in this hobby. And like this guy John had said from his experience, just that's what he expects from people, is and implores people to do as like the ultimate end, like lesson from this type of thing, which happens occasionally. It's happened many of times over the years. Is just do your best. Just try to be a good person, a good keeper, and a good seller. It's not that hard to be honest, in my opinion. And um yeah, that person entered the hobby and did what they did, and they won't be back on Morph Market at least, and we know who their name is, and who knows, down the road maybe they'll learn from it and do a better job of taking care of whatever is in their care.
Okay, one more subject here, and I've heard this brought up on one of the podcasts I was listening to. I apologize for not remembering who, but um, and they brought up how some big breeders, and we know that Will Banks is like one of the biggest ball python breeders out there. I think I heard they can do up to 3,000 clutches, which is just crazy. But I've noticed that they've been putting up a lot of morph market auctions, and these beautiful, incredible snakes, which should be going for a lot more than they are going for, are going for really cheap prices. And Leviathan mentioned how their Nyala got netted them almost $5,000, which is great. But some of these snakes here, which should be in the at least close to $1,000, are going for $150, $200, $300, and with so many snakes, so much overhead that Will Banks has, I'd imagine that they're still making a boatload of profit selling these snakes through the auction. And any opinions on that? Like, have you put up anything for auction lately, and what did it go
I
for?
haven't. My plan was to do some of that lately, but I just had so many curveballs thrown at me, like in life. Like, I'm a Major League Baseball player, and I never made it to the majors. I think I made it to like the senior leagues. You get like to be about like 16, 17, and the fastballs were just too fast for me. I was done, and I couldn't pitch fast enough. So I just was done. I wasn't cut out to be a minor league player. But yeah, it's tough. This is like something that has been encountered in the hobby before, where someone has so much success at a certain angle and they just churn everything out. Like how many leopard geckos exist now and crested geckos from when how many were here in the late 90s. Like there's just tons of them. They could never be bred again, and there would be, quite a few to last us for a while before we'd have to go get more from the wild. And I think that ball pythons have been more easily bred and proven to be. They didn't used to be. And people have figured them out quite well and realized how easy they are and have fun breeding them and have made money from propagating them and selling them, and then just see how far they can take that, like bottling up a Coca-Cola formula or something. You're creating this product in bushels, and so you're gonna gain market share in a slice of the pie because of sheer numbers. And um it's difficult to talk on, because like in one sense, like there's a lot of people that like Mike Wilbanks and his participation and involvement in the hobby. And what would it be like if he wasn't here and hadn't bred stuff? And how many snakes would not be in people's collections from the past from him never having been involved? And then you can look at it on the other hand, where it's like, if you're producing this many ball pythons, how many do you really think that there are homes for? And how many are you getting stuck with? And how are you like hurting the cost of it? Like maybe he should try breeding like Angolans or like carpets or something else, and contributing in that kind of a way and shifting focus. But it's to each their own. This works for him and his employees, and he's created new incubators that some people love. And his reputation, other than slashing prices like a used car salesman, has been pretty good. I've heard pretty good things about his customer service, and some people have really felt like they got good deals from him. But it does start to get to a point where there's an oversaturation in the market, And instead of him being able to move a lot of stuff to the wholesalers of like old days, like that's not really, I don't think, something that he's doing very well anymore. I think there's less wholesalers willing to buy from him. He should probably send a lot of these snakes in wholesale to overseas to build new market, in other countries that have less ball pythons. That's what I would say would be the smarter thing to do. You would take a cut on, risk and a cut on profits, but you would, potentially grow the hobby further. It's like if you look at the NBA and the NFL, they want teams in other countries. So they're already, there's all these cities in America are like, no, we want a team and we haven't had one for years, like Seattle and Vegas has a whole bunch of teams now, but they want another one. And like all these cities are vying for, hey, please help us. But really, the NBA and the NFL have a long-term plan of growing the brand and the sport overseas. And they've tried it before and lost hundreds of millions of dollars with like NFL Europe and different things. But that is the plan. That is gonna grow long term, like revenue from TV sales and deals and ad deals, and that is what is going to happen. And I think the same thing could be utilized with ball pythons. And I don't think that breeding, and creating 2,000 to 3,000 clutches is really gonna, like, how much money is he really making from it, after paying all these different employees and all the different costs involved, like I think it would be a better look if he switched up that business model. But that's me, and he can do whatever the heck he wants. This is America. That's kind of my overall generalized viewpoint on it, to be fair. And right in that auction window, I see 5 different ads. And if I remember correctly, that's what I'm allotted as a pro member as well, is 5 ads a month. And as long as there's no more than that, then he's not, skirting any rules or getting any exceptions made. And he can put probably a bunch of other ads. Well, I'm not sure what the limit is on that as far as like non-auction items, but that would be my take and advice on that. I'm not especially upset with him, but I think that you go to a show and you slash all your prices, you price them a little higher and you slash them all with 50% signs, you're gonna irk some other sellers in the room, period.
Now, Crypto Coils has the same thought as me. There's an Enchi Trojan clown right now that only has 11 minutes left, and it's at $125. Now, I just bought a
Better
Trojan.
get in there, Mark. Make me look bad on my take.
I just bought a Trojan clown from Bod's Exotic Reptiles for, what was it, like $500, and I was the only one who bid on it. That was his reserve price, and I was super happy at that price. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, I want to bid on it, but I just got one. So come on, don't let that go for 125.
Yeah, it probably won't. That's a pretty cool snake, and it sometimes it's tough to see Trojan in snakes, and from my experience level. Some people have an eye for it, but it does like a lightning thing, kind of like lace a little bit, where it has the potential to be a nice like brightener. And I think I saw in the comments, hey Chris, I think I saw like Bourbon City. She's like a dragon breeder, a bearded dragon breeder. I think I saw her, and I can only see the comment that pops up without like doing this whole like thing. I don't know if you see it, but man, I asked her to come and check out the show today, and she is just a quality, ethical breeder and has fantastic salesmanship. She's awesome, and I could see her being as interesting and captivating and helpful to the hobby in the same type of vein as like Leviathan snakes, and how people relate with them and how they share things and how they do things the right way. Yeah, Bourbon City Exotics. I think that's her. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
She's awesome. If you see her little ads and the cutesy little things she does and how well she photographs stuff and shares things and speaks her mind, it's from a place of what are good keepers and good herpiculturists. And I couldn't be any more appreciative that she came in today. And I don't know, what else are we talking about?
Well, Bourbon City Exotics, that's practically an invite to come on the show for a quick segment. So
Yeah,
if
she's
you want
awesome.
to, come on by. Vanna, thank you for showing up. Guys, I
Yeah,
think we had a great show today.
we did, and I only have one more thing to say because you know I can talk for hours, but I would like to send a special, extra special shout out to somebody that we know in the hobby, especially from Instagram and Morph Market, and that's to Aaron Lindstrom, who is Beast Morphs. I believe he's in Michigan. I've gotten a snake from him, but more importantly, I've gotten his time and advice and encouragement over the couple plus years that I've been back in the hobby. And there's few people that I trust as much or have as fun talking to and appreciate their opinion on things. And it was his birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Aaron. We always appreciate when you can make it into the chat and support our show and everything that you contribute to the hobby.
Happy birthday, Aaron. Happy belated birthday to you, Jason.
Oh,
Apologies.
thanks.
Say that.
I had a good dinner and I had some chocolate cake and it was awesome.
All right, everybody. I think we had a great show. Thank you for tuning in.
We
Have a
did.
great week. Take
Thank
care.
you.
See ya.
So are we gonna see him next week, Mark? Is that what we're doing? Or are we coming back to a weekly, or are we gonna do like an every other week?
Now, since the Pomona show is coming up, we will be back next week. We'll do a little pre-show, and of course, we'll be back for the after show. So tune in next week for talk about the Reptile Expo. I know a lot of the people in the crowd, like Ben's going to be there. So I hope
It's going
to
to
see you
be
guys
so
there.
much fun. I look forward to seeing you there. And everybody that can make it to the show out there, thinking about traveling, getting a plane ticket. Hey, there's more people traveling to the West Coast shows now than there were in the last few years. So it'll be a great time. You'll meet lots of cool people. And I'm going to bring some snakes. And if you come and you see me or Mark, then you'll get a Wilbank special, half off of whatever I have, as long as you don't make a big deal about it. How about that?
Of course, I'll be filming videos. So if you want to be in my video, be sure you flag me down and say hello, and I'll put you on.
Awesome. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay cool out there. It's pretty hot on the West Coast. And take care of your snakes. They love you.
See you, everybody.